Racing weekly news for you. RaceTime Radio, Canada's national short track show. RaceTime Radio, we'll drop the green flag. Here is your host, Joe.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to RaceTime Radio. Our live tonight on SiriusXM, Channel 167, Canada Talks. Live on RaceTimeRadio.com and live on our YouTube page at RaceTimeRadioTV. Welcome aboard, everybody. We are somewhat back to normal here tonight in the RaceTime Radio studio. We have Junior back with us for the first time in a month. What's going on there, kiddo?
Hey, having me back in the studio makes it normal. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
we're back, though. It's racing's over, man, up here.
Yeah.
Racing's over for the year. It's that point in the year, you know, you kind of look forward to it through the playoff season. You know, you're kind of like, all right, I'm dragging ass a little bit. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But then you get there.
Yeah.
And my God.
Yeah.
That little pit forms inside your stomach, and
you're
like, man, what are we going to do on the weekend now?
Well,
at least we got lots of stuff to do. There's still, the snow's not flying yet.
No.
Still lots of stuff to look forward to. The APC banquet comes up next weekend.
Yeah.
There's lots of good racing on TV still.
Yes. The Winchester 400 today.
Yes.
Congratulations to Stephen Nassy.
Big win for him.
We will try in hour number 2 to reach out to Stephen and give him a little surprise call and see if we can get him on the air. We've had him on lots. But good for him. He ends up winning that Winchester 400. I don't know how Cole made out. Cole Butcher was at the race. I know he rolled off 10th, but I don't quite know how he made out today.
We'll dig up the results before the end of the show.
Sure. We can do that. Let me tell you who we got coming on the show tonight. It's going to be a night with the champions. We got Steve Book coming on. He is going to be our first guest right after the first break. Steve Book wins the OSCAAR Hot Rod Championship. He did that at Peterborough Speedway just last weekend. Might add, what a weekend, Junior, at Peterborough Speedway. Back to the old crowds, I would say. That joint was full to the rafters. Looked pretty damn good on Sunday when you guys were there. Yeah,
definitely. It was a phenomenal weekend. For it being one of the coldest autumn colors that I can remember, at least the sun played with us and played nice.
Yeah.
There was a couple, rain showers throughout the course of the weekend, and everybody had to take cover and then, spend a little bit of time drying the track off. Friday, there was ins and outs, and definitely frigid temperatures Friday night. Leading down to the Young Guns race, where Caden Lapsevich, the Young Guns race is a big deal.
Sure,
every single year.
Every year.
But Caden Lapsevich got it done in Rick Walt's car. Big win for him.
Cool.
But Friday night, cold night. That was definitely the tip of the iceberg.
Make sure those tires are heated up.
Yeah. And, over the course of the weekend, it was relatively wrapped up early each day. The racing at Autumn Colours this year, and there was obviously spats, and there was, bumps and bruises and a few, torn up fenders.
Right.
But that's it.
Nobody got destroyed big time. We have seen lots of cars go home in a basket after Autumn Colours.
Lots of cars from each race go home in a basket.
Yeah.
That's usually Autumn Colours. It's definitely got the
get
makings.
me back.
Exactly, it's got the makings for all the crazy stuff to happen. There was a couple bone stocks get tore up and mini stocks and stuff like that, but nothing dramatic. And the racing was spectacular.
Oh, that's good.
The racing itself, super stocks. You guys get the crown. In Victory Lane, but the Super Stocks also get the crown for the best race of the weekend. I would say they, coming to the checkers, nobody knew who was going to win that race, and that's the coolest part.
That's really cool.
So the Super Stocks definitely put on a whale of a show. Chenoweth, of course, came out victorious on that deal. But hats off to those guys. It was a wicked one. And the mini stocks put on a great show. The hot rods once again, modifieds. Andy is proven that he can wheel a modified, and
More than once.
Yeah, he's proven it more than once, and will continue to prove it by the sounds of it. It's almost it's impressive now.
Yes.
It's beyond impressive. It's just for that program to be on it. As much as it has been, even with adversity tearing up the car earlier on in the year, just to come back just as strong as ever and to put together the string of wins that they've done. It's Gary McLean-esque. And
yes.
that's definitely a big statement. But, when Gary McLean left the modified series, I think it opened up a whole new world. And for a little time there was, new winners here and new winners there and new winners here. And now it's back to a guy that has got the cat by the tail, and he is swinging it.
Yes, he is.
That 35 car is wicked fast.
Andy Kamrath is the OSCAAR modified champion. Also going to join the show live tonight. We'll catch up with Andy Kamrath. Junior, you were spotting for J.R. Fitzpatrick. Was it the 55 or the 84? I believe it was the 84, correct?
Yep, 84. The only reason why it was the 55 at Flamborough was because he raced Chris House's car, which is the number 55, in the first Triple Crown.
Right.
So in order for
the points to follow
he had
through,
to have 55 on it. Really, he could have just done it with duct tape, but J.R. Fitzpatrick does it right, and he stuck vinyl over top of his 84 and had at it. So,
right.
So it was the 84, exactly the same car that we had at Flamborough. I spotted for him, of course, at Flamborough and then at Peterborough. And, just you can't say enough about what that team brought to the racetrack this year.
Big time.
This year, you go back to 2021, and you look at the season that they had. They had all the makings of having a great season last year.
Oh, huge.
They destroyed everything, blew up motors,
twice,
got into wrecks, got into altercations. This year, dream season. You can't say any more about it.
Yep. He had a good year.
J.R. Fitzpatrick had one of those dream years where, you sit down at the end of the year, you crunch the numbers, and you realize you came out ahead.
Yeah.
And, you look at it, and Triple Crown winner. You got to start the big one, APC winner, right? Multiple APC wins. Grisdale Triple Crown, right? Champion in that.
Yep.
Peterborough Autumn Colours, champion in that.
Wins the 167.
Exactly, wins the 167, and you can't say any more than that. Now, I will say this. I rubbed it in pretty hard.
Did you?
I spotted for the only other crown jewel. The only other crown jewel that he didn't get, and he didn't even show up for. So I called him a pansy for not showing up for it. But the Beat the Heat 150, where Josh Stoddy picked up the win. But that was the only other crown jewel that was a big paying race. Now I know Delaware Speedway also had a really good paying race towards the end of the year that he didn't win either.
Yeah,
but,
the 70th anniversary race.
70th, exactly.
Yeah.
But and just pulling it up here, you asked about Cole Butcher. He lost a tire out of 4, and he smoked the wall.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the car came back on a rollback.
Ooh.
But,
you don't want that.
Not a good look for the 53.
No.
You'll want to go back to red.
Yeah, so you will. Yeah, because he had a different paint scheme on the car in support of breast cancer. He had a black and pink car, the number 53 for that Winchester 400. Anyway, J.R. Fitzpatrick is also going to join the show tonight. How can we not get the champion of the Grisdale Triple Crown and the winner at Peterborough Speedway in the 167? So we got JR coming on. Then we're going to zip all the way out west. We're going to go out to BC and Penticton Speedway and grab the late model champ there. Steve Longert is going to join the show tonight. All of this will be live right here on Race Time Radio. What we're going to do is step out, take a quick break, and then we'll get things fired off. We're going to grab Steve Book up first, the OSCAAR Hot Rod Champion, all live tonight on Race Time Radio. Just getting started. Stay right there. Thanks for joining us.
Come on, wake up.
I got a little money coming my way. We gotta get out of here. If you find me some cigarettes, little whiskey and me.
From coast to coast, you're listening to Canada Talks.
Hey, this is JP from Peterborough Speedway. This Thanksgiving weekend, October the 7th to the 9th, we're hosting our annual Autumn Colours Classic, the biggest racing event in Ontario. 3 days of racing action at Peterborough Speedway presented by Lucas Oil in Pure Country.
All right, man, you're ready to go.
This year, the Speedway hosts 10 divisions of racing action with the best drivers in the country appearing. Friday, it's first round qualifying for the Bone Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks, Legends, Hot Rods, along with the Young Gun races.
You know you gotta do.
Gates will open at 5 and racing will start at 6. Saturday, October the 8th, it's second round qualifying action with B features, the late models and junior late models along with outlaw midgets added to the bill. Sunday, October the 9th wraps it all up with feature events for all divisions, including the late model Electric City 167. Peterborough Speedway in Pure Country, bringing you to Crown Jewel Racing, the 29th annual Autumn Colours Classic weekend of October the 7th to the 9th. Visit peterboroughspeedway.com to book your tickets in advance.
Good job, driver, good job.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere. Doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Tonight's Racetime Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, New Glasgow, Antigonish, and Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. You can count on Napa know-how.
AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
Now, a flashback in Canadian music history. Here's Eric Alper.
Rush holds a special place in our hearts and in the record books. They've sold more than 40 million copies around the world. They have a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Officers of the Order of Canada. And they've released 24 gold records and 14 platinum albums, placing them 5th for the most consecutive gold or platinum studio albums by any rock band.
From the high banks of Daytona, we cover it all. Ooh, that's going to leave a mark. And now, back to the Joes.
Hey, shake and bake, Cal! Woo! Shake and bake!
Here on Racetime Radio.
And welcome back, everybody, to Racetime Radio. And yes, I forgot and left the Peterborough Speedway spots in the actual commercial space. We're just excited for the 30th annual Autumn Colours that'll come up next year. But what do you say we get to the champions from this year in OSCAAR, and they were claimed at Peterborough Speedway. This driver is a well-known name across the country. His name, Steve Book. He's the champion. What's going on tonight, Stephen? How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Joe?
Doing fantastic, man. Congratulations on yet another title. You had that Studebaker just a cooking, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. It was a fun year, a little bit ups and downs, but we were competitive all year, I think, and did get one win out on the dirt track, and kept our nose clean for most of the year. Got a little rough at the end, but we pulled it off.
Yeah, that wreck at Delaware Speedway, man, that was something else. There was a lot of cars tore up in that. You did get tied up in that one, right?
In that one, just a little bit. It was the second race at Delaware that we had trouble there, and it was my pit crew that gave me the championship there, because we came in after the wreck with Rob Bromley there when he got turned in front of us, and had brake issues and steering issues, and they got me fixed up enough I didn't lose a lap, and we gained a bunch of positions back, which ended up being enough to have the points.
Awesome job. And that's what you need, right? You got to have that crew spring into action when they need to spring into action, and there's no quit in that 47 team. You guys just kept the foot to the floor the whole season. What was the whole year like? When you stand back now and look at the whole thing, as a champion, you got to be satisfied. Are you satisfied with the one win?
Well, I would have liked to have a little bit more there, but, anytime we got running real good, we seem to get in a little bit of trouble there. The class is ultra competitive now. I think we had 9 or 10 different winners in 13 races, the only multiple winner was Cole Weber, and he was, a part-time runner, and every time he came out, I think he finished first or second, unless he got caught up in a wreck. So he was far tougher to beat than everybody anticipated. I think he's a really smooth driver.
Absolutely. And Steve, you guys have been in the sport for a long time. You guys have been there, done that. When it comes time for these styles of cars, I think back to the Enduro days, I think back to the Superstock days, whatever the name was at Delaware Speedway at the time, whether it be V8 stock or Enduro at the time, those were all metric style cars. And you look at the OSCAAR Hot Rod series, they look like an old car, but underneath the shell, it's relatively modern technology underneath every single one of those cars. And no different than underneath that beautiful Studebaker. Talk a little bit about the class itself. I know you said that it's ultra competitive, but these guys are bringing some real iron to the racetrack now. Over the past couple of years, it's really sprouted into a little bit of a technology game, and as well, it's morphed into that ultra high competition level that you see. Some of the top tier series get put up against. How do you think that OSCAAR keeps a lid on that moving forward?
Well, they've got the tech, or they've got the rules package to do the job, and they're starting to tech a little bit harder these days, which is nice. Keep the cost down if they can, and some guys were pushing the boundaries on that, let's say, but that happens in every division.
Absolutely.
Everybody's looking for that little competitive edge, but we made it through with all our stuff, no problem. Our car is an old McCall limited late chassis, perimeter style, but there's a variety of chassis out there. There's stock front clips, so there's full tube chassis. There's some of the old chassis, Chevelle clips, Camaro clips. I don't think we have any metric cars in this series right now, but I could be wrong. And there's a variety of different stuff: leaf spring, coil spring, truck arm. It's varied in range of what everybody has.
Absolutely.
So when you get to different tracks, I guess some would shine at this track and maybe not that. Same would go with your car, right? Your car is going to work better when you get to this style of speedway. Is that the way it sort of works out?
Yeah, well, I've had the most luck at Brighton. Actually, I don't consider myself a dirt guy, but I've had a lot of help with that. My dad was awesome on the dirt, and that was one of my highlights of the year for sure. That we put him in the Camaro. We kind of threw it back together. It hadn't been out in a couple of years, and he got in it and hadn't raced in probably over 20 years, which was, that was just awesome for me to get out there and race with him again. And you get guys like Bill Zardo Sr., in the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame, and Tommy Walters in that, and there's so many strong runners in that class that you got to be on your game if you want to run at the front.
I got to hand it to you too. I know you talked about your dad being behind the wheel of the Camaro. At the end of the year, I think I seen you at each one of these races. You had just as much fun driving your car as you did looking over and seeing the other guys drive the Camaro. You had Rick Spencer Walt. It was Rick Walt in the car at Flamborough. You had Rick Verburn, of course, Superstock, competitor and Pinty's crew chief, behind the wheel at Delaware Speedway. Then at Peterborough, it comes down to the last minute, and you had J.R. Fitzpatrick in the car. It looked like you had a lot of fun looking over your shoulder and seeing those guys wheel your car and have some fun with it, because really each one of those guys had a wicked run with that car. They started at the back, but worked their way forward, and I think each one of them got a top 5, right? I'm not 100% sure, but they were all right up in that top 10, top 5 range.
Yeah, JR got a top 5 in the car. He didn't have one single practice lap in it, no heats. We just brought it up for the Sunday.
Yep.
And he drove from the back up to 5th and racing it, and he told me he had a blast in the car.
He did.
And that's what it's for. I mean, you're supposed to have fun racing, and we try try and do it on a lower budget, and it was a car that maybe technology-wise and age-wise probably shouldn't keep up, but when you put guys in with that kind of caliber of experience, and they're all wheelmen for sure, they get the job done. I mean, JR, I think he was so happy with it. I think he wants to put a car together for himself now and come out there and play, but he's more than welcome to drive that car again. Rick Spencer-Walt, we had him at Flamborough, and I had somebody else lined up for it, and they couldn't make it. So I was just walking through the pits that day, and I seen Rick there, and the car really didn't fit him because he's so long in the legs there, but he did a hell of a good job. And it was just, I walked past him and I said, "Hey, you want to wheel this thing?" And he come over and sat in it, and he said, "Yeah, we'll give it a shot." And then Peterborough, I had JR lined up for the Sunday there because he was racing his late model as well. And Rick Verburn, I had him at Delaware, and he had a blast with it too. And really no laps in the cars, the guys, and they just went out and had fun with it.
Now, look at you, spawning more guys to get into the hot rod class. OSCAAR does a whale of a job with it. We're with Steve Book. He is the 2022 OSCAAR Hot Rod Champion. And I got to say, these hot rod cars are springing up across Canada. These guys are the originators right here in OSCAAR. Dave Gainforth did a great job with it again this year, as he does each and every year. Question for you, Steve-O. I know with the competitor base, everybody gets paid the same amount of money, and there's a reason for that. You're trying to keep the competition in it, but not make it a money race, is the way I sort of look at it. Do you wish that aspect of it would change and we go to a graduated sort of payout? Or are you really happy? And what's the, your finger on the pulse of the competitors? Are they happy with, everybody getting the same amount of money and we'll forget about money and just go race?
Well, I think everybody always wants to get more money. That's just a common theme there. But the whole idea of having the same money is that maybe somebody won't take another person out to get one more position. That was the original thought on it, the gentleman's club sort of thing. But everybody's a racer. Once the helmet goes on and the belts get tightened, they want to go to the front, and it sometimes gets a little dicey. We have 10 cars that run within about a tenth of each other on the track. It's getting to be so competitive that it's hard to pass, and little mistake here or there, and guys are rubbing and tempers flaring once in a while. But you're going to get that with competition anytime. But I don't mind the paying the same for everybody. Just maybe throw a bonus in for certain positions, draw out of a hat, because the guy at the back needs the money as much as the guy at the front. And if you don't have the guy at the back, you don't have a class.
I look at Junior, and you'd be able to back me up on this. We're at New Smyrna Speedway. Love going down to Speed Weeks. Haven't done it now in a few years, but one day we'll return. But down at Speed Weeks, they had the it's like the hobby class.
They call them the ground pounders.
The ground pounders. Yeah. They show up. There is no payout as far as I know. These guys come out. They got classic cars, classic race cars. And they go out, and you've got like 2 out of 20 that really want to go race. The other guys are sort of out there putting a show on, and every now and then they get into one, and it's because you got 2 guys that want to race, and the rest of them want to kind of ride around and show. But I know when they come out, that was a good opportunity to go for a beer, to go grab something to eat. Yeah. Or whatever. And I really liked the classic car look, but I didn't really like it when they didn't really race. And I get why they didn't. Yep. They had some beautiful looking cars. But if you take a look at the hot rod division in OSCAAR, these guys have got a lot of good looking machines too. And you correct me if I'm wrong here, Steve Book, but you guys race front to back.
Oh, absolutely. There's passing and racing from the first position right to the last position. There's little groups running, and it is very, very competitive now. You have to be right up on everything. Everything has to be just right, or you're not going to go to the front for sure. But everybody is trying their best, and they're not out there to just do parade laps. Everybody's racing.
No, absolutely.
Which I like. I don't want just a follow the leader drive around, show car thing. It's got to be racy, or it's not going to be fun for myself or for most of the guys out there. They're all competitive people.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the names that it's attracted, right? It's the Book family, the Tom Walters,
Zardo.
Bill Zardo Sr.
80 years old, the
yeah.
guy gets back into a race car. Why? One reason.
Exactly, because it looks fun, and they're out there.
And it's competitive.
Exactly.
And he's still got it.
Yeah, 100%. And when you look down through the list, you've got young talent, you've got and kind of the neat part about it is Steve alluded to it. Underneath those beautiful bodies, there's a lot of differences, chassis and setup wise. So it is really interesting because you've got some cars that have got big motors and they're squirrely as heck, but if they land the power, they've got lots of straightaway speed, but then they can't turn. Where they're like a dump truck. But then there's other cars that can get through the ends in a hurry, and they don't have the power, but they put on a whale of a race. There's still side-by-side action. I've been a firm believer that really racing, and I've said it a million times, and I'm not the only one to say it by any stretch, but racing has painted itself into a huge box with how tight every one of these rule books are.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at a late model rule book, whether it be APC or the Snowball Derby or wherever, you look at the rule book, and there is a rule for everything. And when you look at OSCAAR and you look at the hot rod division, there is not a rule for everything.
No.
There's a lot of open areas, and it gives people the opportunity to make an adjustment here, make a part change here, and make their car more competitive. I'm a firm believer of less is more when it comes time for rules. When you have a group of competitors like what you have assembled in the hot rod division, it's a tremendous amount of fun. The only problem is it can get out of hand in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
So
as we've seen at Delaware.
We are racers, so it can both get really expensive really quickly, trying to keep up with the Joneses, or it can get expensive in a hurry on the competition side when you start connecting fenders when you're not supposed to be. So, but Steve, I've probably talked to you more this year at different racetracks throughout the season, and you had a great season. You had a smile on your face every time I seen you, and you definitely you went out there and got another championship. I would love to know, and I hope you have the stat, in the back of your mind here, but how many championships is that for not just you, but for the Book family here in Ontario? That'd be a big number.
I'm not sure on that myself. My dad has a lot.
Absolutely.
He's won dirt championships. He's won asphalt championships. I've got some, I've got Thunder cars from the Cuga days, and Enduro championships, and now a couple of OSCAAR hot rods, which is awesome. Like I can't even believe that myself. There's being in that class with that much competition. It's amazing to even, get your name in the hat for sure. But I don't know. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun and competitive, and that's big for me. And I get to do it with my family and my friends, and everybody's really helpful in the division. There's heated arguments and that sort of thing, but everybody seems to get it worked out. You're going to have that with anything. You have that with family. So
yeah.
it happens in racing for sure. And it's a great class. There's enough rules, and my dad always said it. He said rules are bad, but no rules are worse, because it lets people go crazy. And the whole idea of keeping the money down for the payouts, you get more money, you get bigger names coming in there with more money in their pockets, and sometimes that's not an advantage to a whole division. So if you want to make it affordable, sometimes the money has to stay down, even though it would be nicer to get more.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think the way to curb that is, if we could get the promoters on board, that when we're bringing in this many cars, you get a discount at the gate, something like that. Something like Luke Ramsey's done. He's kept the price down a little bit at Delaware compared to the other tracks.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And there's going to be a lot more of that in the future, or there's going to be a lot of, a lot of speedways that just won't make it. They're going to have to change, and they're going to have to adapt. The prices are too high. I agree with you in a lot of respects at a lot of different racetracks. And then there's others that are trying to do it and make it value added. And, whenever you go and see an OSCAAR race, whether it be hot rod or modified, I can guarantee you're going to get added value. Steve Buck, congratulations on the championship. And I've told you before, but there'll be new listeners, what got me into this sport was the Morrison family, Brian Morrison. But when I was at Flamborough, when it first opened, that's scary, but when it first opened, the first car I can remember seeing on that racetrack, and one that I would pull for, was Ralph Book. That black and yellow checkered paint scheme on that car. That's what I remember as a real young race fan here in Canada. And I'll tell you what, Ralph Book is big in my heart.
How could you tell that it was black and yellow? Wasn't everything black and white back then?
You are too funny, kid. Okay, what do I do with him now, Mr. Book? What do I do with him?
Oh, just appreciate that he's there with you.
Oh,
and spending time with your boy.
And I agree wholeheartedly. Kids, can't shoot them.
That's right. That's right.
Steve, congratulations on the championship. 2023 is coming. Get that car ripped apart, new bearings in it, and get ready.
We've got the body ripped off it now, and we're going to freshen it up. It got roughed up this year, and try and get it pretty for the start of the year. And hopefully we can get a little faster, too, because we're going to need a little bit more.
Isn't that spoken like a true racer? Thanks so much for the time tonight. We'll check in with you through the course of the winter. I know we're going to be looking for lots to talk about. We'll check into that bookshop.
All right. Thank you very much.
You betcha. Steve Buck, driver of the 47. Gets the job done, Junior. He was a lot of fun to watch on the track. Always one that you had to keep your eye on.
Oh, it always has been. And just you can't say enough about the Book family, the entire Book family. They bring something to the racetrack. It's they just bring that charisma and happiness, and that just big smile, just happy to be there.
Yep.
And Steve is one of those guys that they get to the racetrack and it's like clockwork, because he gets to the racetrack and he walks to the back of the trailer, looks where he is on the pad, and then he walks up and down the pit area and says hello to everybody.
Yeah.
And he's just always been that way. The 47 car, there isn't one person that would want to take away a championship from the guy, and they would want to race it away from him.
Yeah.
But just he's a class act, and if there was a most sportsman award year over year, he would get it because he's just continually there.
True story about Steve Buck, and I got to go back a couple of years. I was at Sauble Speedway. I was GM at that time, and we had a big United 8 race. It was paying $5,000 to win, and we had a whole pile, a blank load in the pits. There was a lot of cars in the pits. And the cars all hit the racetrack for the big event. Yeah. And Book was right up there. He was battling with the guys for the lead. He was in the top 3 and coming. And all of a sudden, he got a black flag. Now, in the United 8 class, one would say, well, then he broke the time, because 2 years ago, if you broke the time, you got a black flag to go off the track. Well, Mr. Book got a black flag. And they thought, and so did Mr. Buck, he thought, damn, I broke the time, I got to go off. Yeah. He went off the Speedway, and he was in the top 3 and coming. And it wasn't for him. It was for the guy behind him.
Yeah.
So, big mix-up, right?
Yep.
Well, that cost Mr. Buck $5,000, or potential $5,000 for the win.
Well, because he had to start at the back. Yeah.
He did. Yep. He did. Back he goes, and he ended up finishing the race. But I got a chance to speak with him the next day, and I said, hey, what's going on, Steve? How are you? He said, well, look, I still got that problem with that call last night.
Yep.
And I said, I heard that. I heard that, and we're going to come up with a solution to that problem. And he goes, Joe, it's easy. And he's saying this super calm now. Remember, this guy just got burned $5,000 the night before, or potentially. Who knows? He could have cut a tire down or whatever. But when I look at it, he was the guy that could have won that race. And he said, why don't you got two guys on the starter's stand, right? I said, yep. Why don't you have one of those guys write a number down big on just like a blackboard, chalkboard, whatever, and hang it over the side? We have enough time we could see that. Yeah. And that is who's getting the black flag. Yeah. And I went, my God, that's a great idea. Yeah. So I pulled the officials together and I said, boys, we got a really good, worthwhile, suggestion here that is going to save guys time, money, and everything. And maybe we won't make as many mistakes. And the guys listened that year. Now, I don't know whether they did it this year or not, but
a little bit different scenario
I did
now.
Know. Well, now with, I don't know, you pull over and let 3 guys go or something. I don't know. It's hokey. But anyway, that I just thought I'd share that story. That's the kind of guy Steve Book is. Steve Book played the cards that were dealt, went back in, went back out and raced, finished that race, and then put a suggestion together as opposed to just coming in and ripping on officials, ripping on everybody. He didn't do that. No. He come out with an actual constructive piece of criticism that would pay dividends, and not just to help himself, but to help everybody in the pits. Yeah. That's the kind of guy Steve Book is. Yeah. That's why he is a champion, and you know what? He needs to be celebrated for it. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, the next OSCAAR champion, this guy drove the number 35. Andy Kamrath is the man behind the wheel of a modified. He won this championship. I wouldn't doubt he won it in June. He was that fast. He joins us live next on Race Time Radio. Oh, and before you say it, the Peterborough Speedway ad is still in from last week. The races are already over. That's who we're talking to. It's the winners. Anyway, here's the break. We'll be back. It's time to get back to the racetracks. For over 30 years, Quick Fire Starters have fueled this sport on and off the track, making lighting your campfire as easy as 1, 2, 3. There's no need for kindling or paper. Just pop your Quick Fire Starter in the pit, add your wood, and presto, you're a pro. Quick Fire Starters. No harmful chemicals, and guaranteed to light your fire every time. Quick Fire Starters, the world's best fire starter.
Rev TV, your motorsports and automotive destination. Watch live races from around the world and right here at home, from 2 wheels to 4 and so much more. Rev TV is your source for motorsports. Rev TV features exclusive race series, up-to-date news coverage, documentaries, how-to programs, and adrenaline-filled lifestyle programs 24/7. Go green with Rev TV. Contact your TV provider to order.
Tonight's Race Time Radio is fueled by APX Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
If you're a Springsteen fan, you just found the promised land. Hear rare interviews and performances. Live concerts.
Is there anybody alive out there?
Celebrity guest DJs.
This is Rob Lowe.
Hey, baby, it's Little Steven here.
And more exclusives when listening to Bruce Springsteen's channel.
Welcome, Bruce Springsteen, to E Street Radio, your home away from home.
Great to be here.
E Street Radio, SiriusXM Channel 20.
Hey, this is JP from Peterborough Speedway. This Thanksgiving weekend, October the 7th, Legends, Hot Rods, along with the Young Gun races, and junior late models, along with Outlaw Midgets added. Peterborough Speedway in Pure Country, bringing you to Crown Jewel Racing. Visit PeterboroughSpeedway.com to book your tickets in advance.
Good job, driver. Good job.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Welcome back.
Race Time Radio.
I think I like it too.
And welcome back, everybody, to Race Time Radio. I sped JP up. Did you see that, Junior? Did you catch that?
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah, speeded him up just a bit. Not quite as fast.
You speeded him.
I speeded.
You sped.
Sped. Okay,
There we go.
let's get proper grammar, shall we? I made him go as fast as the number 35 of Andy Kamrath, and he is on the hotline with us, the 2022 OSCAAR Modified Champion Driver of the 35 for London Recreational and a whole pile of others. What's going on tonight, Andy? How are you?
How you guys doing tonight?
Doing real good. How about you? You got the season in the books, you got the championship on the shelf, and it's Jules' birthday. Man, things got to be looking up for you.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. We've taken the week just to slow some things down a bit after a busy 4 weeks, but I can't really complain too much.
Yeah, it was a good season for you. I know you had trouble about, maybe a little bit past midway, where the 35 car got wrecked, and that had to be sending shutters through you because, man, that car was working like lickety-split all the way up to that point. But, Andy, you guys did not skip a beat. You must have got old Chenoweth working on that machine because you never skipped a beat again after it.
Yeah, to be honest, when you're hooked up with guys like, Mike Schmidt and Sean Chenoweth and Bob and Scott and all them guys, and Jeff Hanley, he helped us out a lot there. It was a busy 3 weeks. It was an expensive 3 weeks, but I put most of the car back together, and then Sean come up and spent a day here with me and just getting things back together. Crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and like I said, we didn't miss a beat.
Was the chassis bent up pretty bad in that wreck, Andy?
No, it wasn't. It didn't. Like, it was no clip, none of that stuff. Put a pretty big hole in the book box and stuff like that. But as far as suspension-wise, there was a lot of bolt-ons, but no clips.
Oh, and that's good, right? You want to make sure the car is square. They would have jigged all that to make sure that absolutely everything was square and still viable. But nevertheless, man, what a season you had. You've had not just a good season, you've had a couple of great years behind the wheel of the 35. What do you attribute all that success to, man?
Just a good package. We got a good package. We got a good group of guys. We got a good chassis. We got a good chassis guy. Got a good setup guy. Got a good crew behind me. We got good motors. The driver's, I guess, not too bad. He isn't too old yet. So, it's got a really, really good support system, good sponsors, good everything, and we got a good package, and that's pretty much most of what it is.
So where do you take it from here? Modified champion in OSCAAR. You've raced late model. You've raced mini stock. You started in a junior late model. I know. I built your first car. At least I think I built your first car. At least your brother's I did.
Yep.
Where do you go from here? Are you happy in modified and just stay right where you are? Because I know you're a busy cat outside of racing.
Yeah, so I ended up, I bought a junior late for my little guy there, so we're going to get him doing some testing there next year and see if he likes it. And I'm pretty happy in the modified, and we stepped out of the late model thing for a little while, and I think we might, I was talking to Sean the other night, we may jump back in and, dip our toes back in that again and just go, have some fun and pick the races up where we want to race and see how that goes.
Any chance you sourced out your old junior late model? Because I know J.R. Fitzpatrick sourced his, and be damned if he didn't find his car all the way out in Nova Scotia that somebody was using as a show car. He sourced it, bought it back, and now he has that in his shop. Did you by chance source out your old Coors Light-looking number 40 car?
Number 5.
No,
Number 5. Number 5. I'm sorry. Number 5.
Yeah, no worries. No, actually, Darren Warren built this pretty much a brand new one there. It was pretty cool because we used to race against Darren back in the day, and he pretty much put it all together there for us. So it's one of the older. There's new generation chassis, there's old generation. It's an older generation chassis like what we used to race, but he did a heck of a job building it there for us, and it's a nice, good, safe car. And like I said, we're going to dip our toes in it and see if the little guy likes it, and we'll continue the legacy, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. It's pretty cool to see. I remember, the beginnings of junior late model with 5 or 6 cars out on the racetrack. It seemed like we could get to that 10 number, and then we would have invitational races where we had the junior cast cars come up, and there would be 24 or 22 of them, and that was back in the day. And then it kind of dwindled, and the numbers were decent over at Grand Bend, but through this. Through the end of the year here, the off season, or not the off season, the playoff season. Basically each one of the playoff divisions had a junior late model portion to it, and there was a great car count at Peterborough Speedway. There was an awesome car count at Flamborough Speedway, and when you look down through the list, there's a whole pile of people that were involved. Or were involved in motorsports, right? Like you've got, of course, Craig's got 2 of them, right? And
Sprung, Sprung was another name,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But as you go down through the list, you got Rick Spencer Walt's young lad there, Jake. He's killing it out there. He's rocking and rolling, right? So and then Freiberger, and the list goes on and on of racers that second generation, third generation even. It was definitely cool to see during the playoff season, and by the sounds of it, there's quite a few people that are looking into that division into 2023.
Well, and it's exactly what you said there. Like, it was real. It kind of started off slow when we were doing it, and then it got busier, and then once the whole junior cast car and everything, and then turned into J car, and it went stale for a lot of years. And it's really nice actually seeing it kind of come back. And like you said, it brings there's a lot of guys that started off racing those junior lates, and we need a feeder. We need that little feeder division to get the kids in and to keep them rolling down this road. Derek Russell, I think he's got a little guy that's getting into it as well. Corey's building cars or getting cars built. I got one coming. There's lots of guys that, it did feed. If you look back, it did feed a lot of the up and coming guys that are still racing today. So it's real cool to take a step back and see this.
And look at the success that those drivers had. When I take a look at Andy Kamrath, Craig Kamrath, Mr. Noon, Kent Noon started in a junior late model.
Yeah, absolutely.
J.R. Fitzpatrick started in a junior late model.
Cole
Powell, Almond. We don't see Mike anymore, but I do remember talking to Ed Almond late last year when before I left Sauble. He was looking to pick up his grandson, I believe, a car. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of those historical names that are in there. And, Andy, that's cool news to hear that you and your son are going to be able to do it. And hopefully you'll be able to run your modified at the same time, put the 2 cars in the trailer and go give her.
Yeah, I think that's that'll be part of the plan there. We upgraded the trailer over the short off season so far. So I'm going to get him out. I'll get him out testing this year and let him get his feet wet. And I don't want to push him. He's only 6 years old, so I don't want to push him along too fast. But if he picks up on it pretty quick, we'll put him in a few races at the end of the year.
Yeah, too cool.
If you're anything like your dad just kind of threw you off the flag stand into the car, and then pushed you down the front stretch, right? Like, I mean, you got it in you, man.
Oh, and that's the thing. The good part. I don't know if it's good or bad. But he ain't scared. So, and he's got a lot of that Kamrath in him, so it could be good or bad.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
lot of the apple don't fall far from the tree, and a little bit of his uncle in there too, by the sounds of it, because neither one of you kids had any fear whatsoever, and that's what made you great race car drivers and champion again in the modified class for OSCAAR. Got to ask you, Andy. Do you enjoy running the series? I heard there was word that these modifieds are going to collectively try, at least there's a racetrack collectively trying to take them out of OSCAAR and transplant them into a speedway for a regular night of racing. Do you like the tour aspect, or would you like to have a home track?
So we've had a lot of conversations about it, talking to a lot of drivers and stuff like that. I think and like I said, this is my personal opinion. I think the 13 races is a little bit much for us. We got APC, that's the top series in Ontario, and top budgets, and they're running 9. Do I like traveling around from racetrack to racetrack to racetrack? Absolutely, because Back when I was coming up through racing, they always had the old one-track wonder. So a guy that can go across 4 or 5 different racetracks and prove his strengths was always much more of a, it was a lot better. It looked better for me and every other driver's eyes as well. So, traveling around, yeah, it's fun. Doing the camping thing, it's fun and stuff like that. But I also can remember back in the day, Barrie Speedway, Peterborough Speedway, Sauble Speedway, Kawartha, we can go on. They all have their home track stuff. And then at the end of the year, all the guys went to Sunset for Velocity, and then all the guys went to Autumn Colours, and then all the guys went to Flamborough, and they did their invitationals. And those end-of-the-year specials seem to be dwindling away a little bit right now, which is sad to see. So I don't know what the right answer is. It's home tracks are great because you go there and you're supporting the home track, and you're going to the same place every week. So that's a great thing. But like I said, I don't know what the answer is for it right now.
Yeah, and there'll be lots we could discuss over the course of the off season. But I'll tell you what, Andy Kamrath, if you aren't at Delaware Speedway, Flamborough Speedway, Peterborough Speedway, all the great tracks that make up OSCAAR's schedule, I'll tell you who will lose, and that'll be the race fan, because I know they all enjoy knowing that when that 35 rolls in, they're going to get a show, and they do each and every time. Even if you start near the front, you got to be able to stay up there with, with the cast of characters you run against. That is hard to do. And Andy, you did it again this year. Congratulations on the championship and on all the successes that you've had through 2022. Some of the heartache and the successes. You get them both, buddy.
No, I appreciate it. I really appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, and don't work too hard at AM Roofing now. I know things, how's the company doing? Are you keeping it going or what?
Oh, yeah, we're, kind of this time of year is kind of our busy time. Everybody's trying to get things done, and, we got the 5 locations there across Ontario, and it's, I primarily have my focus on the 3 northern ones there, and they keep me quite busy as it is, but it's, it's always good to be busy. It's a good problem to have.
Well, I watch Barrie News on CTV every now and then, probably 3 or 4 nights out of the week. And who do I see but Andy Kamrath pop up there on the AM Roofing ad. So if you're ever wondering, yep, that's the same Andy Kamrath that you see on that ad that's behind the wheel of a race car. You do a great job, buddy, and I just may be calling. I need some of those gutter guards. I got a second floor here. I keep getting leaves in them, and I'm getting too old to go up that ladder. I keep watching that TV spot, and I keep going, yeah, that's me. I'm too old to go up the 2 flights or 2 stories to grab the leaves. I just may call you guys to see if you can take care of it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give me a shout and I'll come over and see you.
You are the man. Andy, congratulations. Happy birthday again to Jewel. You guys have a great night, and I know we'll be in touch in the off-season, man.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good night.
You betcha. Andy Kamrath, the champion, does a great job behind the wheel of that car, man.
Yeah, he does. He does a great job behind the wheel of every car. He's, he's an APC winner. He's been there, done that. He's been, in a lot of different facets of the sport. Definitely the modified fits him like a glove. That's by far his most dominant, performance has been, behind the wheel of that modified and definitely feels at home and you can see it. And, it takes, he's a guy that races right on the edge. It doesn't matter if it's for 10th or if it's for first. Andy is right on that edge of getting everything out of the car, and that's what it takes in modified racing. Modifieds are you need to find that knife edge and you need to straddle it, and it's incredible to watch what he can do behind the wheel. The whole team, really, he says it every single time he gets out, but there's an SCR sticker on there. There's Jeff Hanley is no joke. He's been there, done that. And when you look at the caliber of equipment that they show up to, with that race car, with that 35 car, it is spectacular. It's immaculate. It's beautiful, and there's not a rivet that hasn't been thought about. There's
no stone unturned.
When you look at a car that that goes to victory lane as much as that 35 car does. And you look at all the other cars in the field, you can see the places where the other guys aren't thinking. And it's not a cheating thing by any stretch.
No,
it's
just
not
homework.
It's homework, exactly. It is 100% homework and maximizing every single thing that you can get out of it. And they could take 10 different things away from that car, and it would still have an advantage in a couple of different areas.
Just
and
can't take the driver out.
Exactly.
Because the driver knows how to wheel that car.
But that's the thing, is that they've got their homework done, and they're getting A+ each time. So hats off to them. I
just want to say, word of this modified weekly deal at Sunset Speedway. I read it. I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't want to see anything come between the OSCAAR Modifieds and a weekly show.
Everybody needs to stop dividing everything in
I
the
know.
sport.
I know. It's insanity. What's happening. Like, you want Modifieds, book more shows if you can get them. But, to just outright say, I'm going to go do this, it's your own prerogative. It's your racetrack. But, man, think about what you're doing. If it wasn't on the same day as the series or something, like say you ran on a Friday night, man, okay, maybe you can get away with it because the series runs on Saturday night or Sunday night. But to outright go and try and do it, what they're going to do is split that field. And when you split the field, it's no good for anybody, as far as I can see. That's just me. And been around the horn a few times in this game, and I've watched it happen. Look at the super late models today. Just look at the super late models. They used to be OSCAAR super late models.
Yeah.
Until what? Until the promoters got their hands on them and thought, here's what we're going to do, and wouldn't give OSCAAR any more money to pay them more money. But soon as they pulled them under the Ontario wing, what's the first thing they did? Pay them more money. But what did they get? They got half the field. The other half of the field didn't race, and presto, you got a class that spirals out of control, and everybody looking at one another going, how come we haven't got super late models? Well,
the
pinch
whole
yourself,
thing.
Man. Pinch yourself. Look at what you're doing, and don't make the same mistakes time after time after time and expect a different result. It's time for people to do some forward thinking, and the forward thinking just isn't happening.
People look at dirt racing and they say, well, they've got so much success right now. They're doing so good on the dirt. Why can't asphalt be like that?
Right.
Well, you know why? They don't have 19 divisions.
Right.
They don't have 19 divisions. They don't have a difference between a home track car and a touring car. They have 7 divisions across the entire spectrum, and there might be 8. There might be, a small division at one of the other tracks that they run, like a dwarf car in Quebec or something like that.
Right.
But they don't have 19 legitimate differences of cars, right? And when you have that, I tell you what, there are a tremendous amount of racers in this sport right now. And there always has been a tremendous amount of racers in the sport. It's just they're divvied up amongst all these divisions and all these different facets of sports. I think back to the days when there used to be one midget, and it was called a Can-Am midget.
Yeah.
And now you got the pro midgets, you got the Hurricane midgets, you got the ones with snowmobile engines, you got the ones with Kawasaki engines. To be honest with you, I don't know all the different divisions that there are.
Right.
But
there
this
is a
one's got
pile.
suspension. This one doesn't. This one, why do you need all them? There was Can-Am midgets.
Yeah.
And it's the same deal. It's modifieds. There's another division of modifieds that race over in Peterborough.
Yes.
And
the Ontario modifieds, I believe they're called.
Yeah, and none of them race with the OSCAAR guys, or once in a while Strawn does, or a couple of them go back and forth. But I mean, why is there 2 divisions of modifieds? Now there's going to be 3 if there's another home track.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
How did it work out? I just need to say, how did it work out? Now, normally I throw it back to Toronto for the up to date. Just so you know, Toronto, my computer just came back on. I had a what's called a mass dump.
Nice.
So I lost everything on the computer, but it just did come back up. So we are okay. But I missed the top of the hour. Let me say this about that, Junior. You were at Sunset Speedway this year. Didn't they have a pro late model class that they started?
Yes.
How many cars were there the one night you were there?
Yeah, no.
5 cars.
Yeah, there was
5 cars.
There was times where
How did that pro late model class go?
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on.
There's
Come on.
No, but there's yes.
I remember it.
There's
5 cars.
100%. There was 5 cars one night. A low car count all the way through.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the year to the end of the year.
Yeah.
The nice part is it's an APC car, so if it's not racing what APC is, you can just take an APC car and go run it. That being said, this year there was a tire shortage. And there was a blatant tire shortage, right, across the board.
How about a car shortage?
And well, yeah, there's a car shortage as well. But
so don't open more classes, don't open more windows.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't think.
But that being said, there was the reason why there was a bunch of cars not there that night is because there was absolutely no tires for anybody to have. So there was cars that were sitting at home,
right,
with the drivers at the pit area, like in the pits,
right,
looking for tires.
Yeah.
And you're not going to run if you're on a deficit to tires to the guy across the pit area from you.
Yeah.
You're not going to run on old tires when he's got new shoes.
I get it.
So there was a legitimate deal.
How did he get new shoes when we're trying to attract cars? You don't give 5 cars new shoes and say to everybody else, no, you can't have them.
They had them through their inventory. So they had purchased them already. But
okay.
So there's definite troubles there. When I look at what the pro late model division is doing, Delaware Speedway has got it. Flamborough Speedway has got it. There's rumblings that there's another track going to have pro late models next year, and then as well Sunset. Guys cannot afford to run 15 times a year in pro late model. There's not a whole lot of teams out there that can afford to run 15 times a year.
No.
It becomes very costly very quickly.
Sure does.
But that being said, there are a bunch of guys that can run 13 or 15 times a year, or 13 to 15 times a year.
Right.
And it is neat to see all the differences between the APC guys and the home track guys at Flamborough Speedway or Sunset. If they are going to do it, keep the rules the same and run on off nights, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm okay with that all day long, as long as it is the same rule book. Photocopy it and place it over there and police it the same. It's the same rule book. That is not a different division to me.
No.
Where it becomes a different division
is when you start changing the rules.
If you're going to try to take it away from one guy to bring it to your track, I don't like that. That's creating division in personnel. That's creating division in cars. That's creating division in everything.
In all of it.
So if you're going to work together and you're going to have 2 specials, I'd be all for a track to be like, hey, we're going to have a modified race, and we're going to pay $10,000 to win, and it's going to be 100 laps or 150 laps.
Right.
And it's OSCAAR rules.
I get it.
I'm awesome with that.
So am I. It doesn't conflict with OSCAAR.
Don't run 12 dates.
Yeah, we're going to run on non-OSCAAR dates. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I will shut up. But that isn't what I heard.
Yeah, I know.
What I heard was we're going to start our own division of modifieds.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, my God. Come on. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Don't make the same mistake and expect a different result. And you just point at the pro late models this year. How did you do?
Yeah.
How did you do? You didn't do worth a damn. So why do that? Why? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
It's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. 100%. And it ain't going to happen. So give JR a call, will you? You got to get me out of this. JR Fitzpatrick did a great job at Peterborough Speedway. You helped him. You were in his ear spotting for him for the 167. Big race for you.
Yeah, it was a great big race. It's funny because I think everybody in the grandstands would know I didn't help him worth a damn. He led from the drop of the green flag to the checkered flag, and really it was really cool to see. He just put on a clinic, really, about car control, about keeping the tires under it. 167 laps is no joke on one set of tires.
Yeah,
and around Peterborough Speedway, that place is abrasive. It was one of those races where a spotter didn't really do anything for you. The driver, it was all in his right foot, and I tell you what, JR Fitzpatrick, there's nobody better at saving tires at Peterborough Speedway, and there's going to be a lot of people take notes on how to save tires. Because he definitely showed a lot of people how to do it.
Well, he joins us right now on the hotline. Winner of the 167, winner of the Grisdale Triple Crown, winner of the APC Championship. He pretty well won it all this year. 84, J.R. Fitzpatrick. Kid, you did it again last weekend. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. How you doing?
Doing good. Now, I got to ask you, I know that was a 167 laps at Peterborough Speedway. You won the race, so obviously it went the way you planned it. Or did it go perfectly? Was it a perfect race for you, JR?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, when things go that good, it's tough to complain about anything, really. But really, I'd say it was overall a pretty good weekend. We got the pole. I'm pretty certain we were faster in practice and won the race and led every lap. So that's, I guess, a plus when they don't do inversions. You get to start up front, and it was a tough race, though, to be honest, right? Because like you guys were just talking about saving tires, like it's really hard to do, right? Like Junior had to keep telling me to save because I got all this car underneath me, and I just want to show everyone what it's got, but. The tires are a little bit of a different tire we race on normally, so you got to make sure you protect them. And 167 laps around that track was definitely going to kill them. And by the end of the race, I believe we only fell off. And I was looking, I think, from our fast time in the beginning of the race to the end, I think it was only 3:10.
Yeah, so that's fantastic, man. You must have saved a bunch. Maybe there was still a little bit of good left in those tires at the end of 167, or did you burn them up?
No, that's what I mean. Like, I saved so much that, our pace was there all race, and then when it was go time, I mean, it took us like 3 or 4, maybe 5 laps to get rolling after a restart, but once we got going, we just stretched it out. I mean, I think the plus we had is in practice we worked on the front end a lot and just made the thing comfortable to drive, not really concerned about time, just, platform, how to look, and overall grip, and you can see in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 laps, we were just pulling away, and guys were really getting sideways, so it was a lot of fun.
It was funny, though, because I will say this
Did
about
you
that.
guys laugh a lot on the radio, you and JR?
Oh, yeah, we always do. Yeah, we always do. We had
There's things we can't say here.
Yeah, there were things that we can't say on here. Yeah, if you had a scanner, you would have wanted to, plug your ears a couple times. But when you look at the year prior, right? Got a chance to do back-to-back Autumn Colours with JR, and the year prior we did it with the 41 with Taylor Holdaway and his bunch, and it's funny because the amount that we learned from one year to the next. Really translated. I know 2 completely different cars, 2 completely different platforms, but really you took a lot of notes from the year before and translated them directly into that race, you focused on making sure that the thing wasn't going to be Jack the Bear at the end, and it wasn't going to be sideways. And really, JR, it was interesting to watch you all the way through practice, because you focused on the year prior, and usually in late model racing that's really difficult to do, but I think there's going to be a pile of people do the same next year.
Yeah, and you're right. We learned a lot, right? Like when we were in the 41, we were the same, right? We had a ton of speed, but I just remember with these tires, automatically, like if you bolted the two sets to race on tour and in that Hoosier from back to back, you go from really tight to just all over the place loose, because the sidewall actually has movement in the Hoosier, so the cars are naturally a lot freer than what we're always used to. So I remember the 41 being really fast, but being like loose all weekend. So this year we just focused on comfort, drivability for long runs. That's why in practice I kept going out, doing my 10 laps that they gave us and turning around, coming to the pit, turn around and go right back out because I was just trying to get as many laps on the tires as I could to make sure it's still driving good. And obviously it paid off because, like I said, from the first lap to lap 167, we only lost 0.3 of a second. So, and even then, I believe we were like 0.2 quicker than everyone on our fastest lap. So, we definitely nailed it this year.
So, J.R. Fitzpatrick, where do you go from here in 2023? I know you're still celebrating the successes of 2022, but the banquets are all coming up. Everybody's going to be looking. Where do you go from here into next year? Any thoughts yet, or are you still making your mind up?
Well, the banquet for us is just coming Saturday, so we'll get through all that. But, you'll most likely see us back in my car for next year. And just, obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to the tour. For me, it's all about what else do I want to do. I mean, I did a lot of specials this year, and I did some modified stuff and whatnot. I had a lot of fun with that. And now that the ATC car doesn't really need a lot of work, just because before Delaware, we pretty much put all brand new parts on it. So just need to clean a few panels. And so I'm just going to go back and start working on that old car I have. And it's going to come down to what do I want to do with that, because I do want to do something that's a little more fun on off weekends. Not sure what direction to go with that car yet. I had two options and just weighing out the costs and just the interest, I guess, in both and see what I want to do. And
just to be clear for everybody listening, those panels that he has to replace are his fault, not the spotter's fault.
Not the spotter's fault. Yeah. Did Teddy get a chance to break a move on the weekend or what?
No, so unfortunately a couple of my guys had other commitments and just couldn't make it. So there was only, Joe? There was me, you, Chris, and my father-in-law, Roy, and then my wife was there and my mother-in-law. So really there was just four of us. But it was a little bit more work for all of us. But and Glenn Blanker came to help on Sunday.
Right.
Absolutely.
That was a big help. So it was a smaller group, but we had fun, and man, we got it done. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. So to put the next rumor to bed, the 84 car is not for sale.
Well, everything's always for sale for the right price, but you know how it goes. I did have somebody that reached out to me, asked to buy the car, and to be honest, I don't think I'm going to sell that car, because even if they gave me enough to replace it, I still think I'm one of those people that think if you built two cars side by side, you'd never be able to duplicate it. So this car is pretty stout. It was good for us everywhere. So yeah, I think I'm good with just replacing the panels, clean it, replace the bolts, and like I said, go back and work on my old one and have some fun.
You're going to go to that banquet and have a gas this year, aren't you? Does the second championship feel any different than the first one in APC, bud?
Yeah, this one feels a lot better because we got a lot more wins, and I still feel like the first one people thought it was kind of given to us because of a couple of the penalties that were out that year, but this one the team earned it. We worked hard, and really, we earned it this year. So definitely pumped up to go celebrate the team over this, and like I said, just look forward to next year. And two, I also want to, while I'm here, I got to thank Steve Book because he let us drive his second hot rod car that he had there for Peterborough, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be doing it until we loaded up. I had my suit off and everything, and it was kind of one of those, should I do it? And Joe Jr. was like, yeah, we're doing it. So I made sure with Laura that we weren't leaving and we were staying the night, so jumped in that thing, and man, I was smiling ear to ear with that thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch, man. That was what was the steering box? 45 to 1?
Is he on after me?
No, he was on before you. We already talked about you.
Oh.
He already said a bunch of nice things about you.
I was going to say, you should have asked him if I needed, for next year, if he could put a fork truck ball on it. No, that was the thing. So it's a 16 to 1, which is a stock steering box ratio, and And it was just like literally no practice, no nothing. Steve's just like, hey man, just get in, have fun, enjoy it, and I did. It just honestly, it just took me forever to get used to the ratio of the box because 16-1 versus a rack is like huge difference. So, but man, the car handled great. I told him after the race that there was just a little more front brake in that thing. We could have went for it because it was just really loose. But I'm still smiling about it because it was just a 40 lapper, started the back, all out, as fast as you can go, sideways. I had a great time. So I really got to thank Steve and his dad and his crew for letting us have some fun because that made the weekend all worth it for sure.
And you got to thank AJ Ems too for not dumping you 15 times because he had the chance to. The race that JR and AJ Ems put on.
Yeah.
I think AJ Ems was in the Bromley car, right? It was the Thunderbird. The number 6.
Car,
and man, did they put on a clinic? They were dicing it up, and I don't think you guys hit each other at all. Like maybe like a couple of like just
rubs,
just touches, but JR would go in and he'd be sideways loose and he was tight, so he would drive it into the bottom and JR would get the drive off and they would mix it up back and forth and man, it was fun to watch. It was definitely it was a gas, but congratulations on a wicked year. I'm glad you got out of that mud hole that you were in today. Your side by side has definitely seen better days. Get the pressure washer out, wash that thing up, and hats off to you, man. Congratulations on a great year, and looking forward to you buying me a beer at the APC banquet.
There'll be a few. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I can well imagine. JR, you have a good one. I know we'll check in the off season and just see how you're making out.
Perfect. Look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. 84 J.R. Fitzpatrick, winner of everything in a late model here in the province of Ontario. Speaking with J.R., I don't know whether he said it on the show or not, but I will. He's looking at the IWK 250 next year.
Again.
Yes. Yeah. Looking at making a return run.
Yep.
He knows what to expect now.
Yeah.
And let's face it, that's Canada's ultimate short track race. It always has been, always will be in my eyes.
Yeah.
The IWK 250 at Riverside. Wow. The date has been announced. So everybody get your calendars out and make sure that you have the July 15th weekend all laid out for 2023. That will be the IWK 250 weekend. And believe me when I say it's a full weekend. You want to be there Wednesday night. Thursday night is practice for both the late models, the super late models. That's what run there. It's the Pro Stock Tour. And I believe Legend Cars. Sportsmen, I think, are the night before. Yeah. And then Friday night or Thursday night, it's that practice. They usually have a concert on Thursday night, and it's a kick-ass band. It's a big deal. And then on Friday, it's race time. You got the Sportsmen, you get the Legend Cars. They put on a bang-up show. And then come Saturday night, it's the IWK 250 edition. And that's all that's on the schedule that night. But trust me, it fills it. It is a full night of pomp and pageantry with the best action you're going to see on any racetrack coast to coast. It's the IWK 250, July the 15th, Riverside International Speedway. You don't want to miss it. Maybe you can join me this year.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
I'd love to
that
do
be fun?
Absolutely.
You haven't been out there to see the IWK.
I have not seen the IWK. I actually had a shot to go this year, and I had a shot to go spot for somebody, and it just didn't end up working out. But Stoddy was going to go to the IWK. Dwayne Baker, of course, went out.
Yes, he did.
They were going to share a ride, but Josh was leading the Sunset Championship, so they couldn't.
All
couldn't
five
make it
cars.
Work. What's that?
All 5 cars. He led all 5 cars.
Well, no, he was. That was only the one night.
I know. I'm just saying. Okay, we're going to hit a quick break. When we come back off to Canada's West Coast, we're going to go. We're going to talk to the late model champion at Penticton Speedway. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
She was a girl in a short dress. I was a boy in a charcoal vest. When the winter wind came calling,
coast to coast. You're listening to Canada Talks.
Hey, this is JP from Peterborough Speedway. This Thanksgiving weekend, October the 7th to 9th, we're hosting our annual Autumn Colours Classic, the biggest racing event in Ontario. 3 days of racing action at Peterborough Speedway presented by Lucas Oil in Pure Country.
All right, man, get ready to go.
This year, the Speedway hosts 10 divisions of racing action with the best drivers in the country appearing. Friday, it's first round qualifying for the Bone Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks, Legends, Hot Rods, along with the Young Gun races.
You know what you gotta do.
Gates will open at 5 and racing will start at 6. Saturday, October the 8th, it's second round qualifying action with B features, the late models and junior late models along with outlaw midgets added to the bill. Sunday, October the 9th wraps it all up with feature events for all divisions, including the late model Electric City 167. Peterborough Speedway and Pure Country bring you to Crown Jewel Racing, the 29th annual Autumn Colours Classic weekend of October the 7th to the 9th. Visit peterboroughspeedway.com to book your tickets in advance.
Good job, driver, good job.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere. Doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Tonight's Race Time Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, New Glasgow, Penticton, and Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. You can count on Napa know-how.
AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology. APX Racewear. Look, feel, be epic at epicracewear.ca.
Now, a flashback in Canadian music history. Here's Eric Alper.
Rush holds a special place in our hearts and in the record books. They've sold more than 40 million copies around the world. They have a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and officers of the Order of Canada. And they've released 24 gold records and 14 platinum albums, placing them 5th for the most consecutive gold or platinum studio albums by any rock band.
From the high banks of Daytona, we cover it all. Ooh, that's going to leave a mark. And now, back to the Joes.
Hey, shake and bake, Cal! Woo! Shake and bake!
Here on Race Time Radio.
And welcome back, everybody, to Race Time Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight. We are going off to Canada's West Coast and going out to Penticton Speedway, all redone, and what a beautiful racetrack. This next driver drives the number 56 car, and he is the champion in late model out there in Penticton. His name is Steve Longert. I believe I hit it right, didn't I, Steve?
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Sounds pretty close. How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm good.
Good man. Good man. Congratulations on the championship out there. That would have been quite a battle. You were up against some tough customers in those Seabird boys.
Yeah, they were the ones to beat, and along with some others, it's always a pretty stout field out there. And I told my wife beginning of the season I wasn't going to points race, but in the end we were in it. So thanks to her, she let me keep going, and we did it.
Well, now you learned a huge lesson, right? Never say never. That's one of the lessons learned. The other one is keep your foot to the floor, because you just may be a champion. And look at that. Is this your first championship at Penticton, or do you have history there from before? Tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, that's my first championship at Penticton. I had one at Vernon Speedway. I first raced at Penticton in 1985 in a super stock car I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been turning laps there for a lot of years, seen the Speedway do some changes, and it's just amazing the way it looks now and what Seabirds have done with it.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job with that Speedway, and I know they still got lots of big plans for it in the future. What's it like flying around that Speedway? I know I watched you, Steve, in the 300. I believe you were in that. The 56 car was quick, top of the board, a wee bit in practice, I believe, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, we finished putting the car together that morning for the Rattler. Got there late. Had some bugs to work out. Never got the tire stuff for timing, and but the Penticton Speedway staff and some of the Avion guys were great, and told us not to sweat it and gave us the brakes, and we got in the show, and car was fast first time out. Yeah.
Yeah, man, you talk about Vernon Speedway, too. I was fortunate enough to go to Vernon Speedway back when it was operating for an OSCAAR Canadian Tire Series race back in those days. What a racetrack that was. Man, what a shame that is not still on the schedule out there in BC.
It was, and I kept wishing I'd win the lottery, and they had some legal stuff going on, but I've got a lawyer on my pit crew, so if I would have won the lottery, I would have bought it, that's for sure.
The tech man must shudder when you walk through tech lane with a lawyer being on that'd be a handy resource for a race team to have, wouldn't it?
It is. And he bought me some tires this year. Michael W. Baldwin's his name, not the shooter, but same name.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not the shooter.
Not the shooter.
A little pun there.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, looking at the Western late model scene, I don't think it's a shocker to anybody. There's a revival going on out there. I know that there's racetracks that are coming and going, and there's racetracks that are improving, and you look at Agassiz, and you look at all the improvements that Penticton's having, and you look at all the different things that are taking place out there. There's a strong contingent of late model competitors from Alberta over to the island in BC. Talk a little bit about the health of where late model racing is out there. I know you're the champion, so you got to say it's real healthy. But talk a little bit about the health and where you feel that the late model division is in Western Canada.
Yeah, there was a series started years ago, Katana Boat Series, and a fellow named Johnny Anchez put together a great set of rules and brought a lot of different cars together, and that really got things going, and we toured all over BC, and I had some success in that series too, and it just really grew the car counts, and the fella has a list here in BC with all the super lates and all the limited lates, and it's a long list. There's well over 100 cars.
Wow.
And I think in just BC alone. So, if we all get on the same page, there were some changes going to the pro lates. And, of course, some guys are for it, some against. There's always controversy everywhere. But I think it's a great package. And with all the racetracks doing changes, like you said, and upgrading, it looks good for the future.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You got, I know from being out there that there was a melting of rules and there was some pushback, and, you're going to get that. But at the end of the day, Steve, you've got the 56 car. Give us a little bit of history on that 56. Is that a new car, or is that one of your old cars that you retrofitted to fit the rules?
No, that's a car I picked up from Kelly Admiral last year, and he had built a new car, and that car had won a championship when he was in it. And so a few pieces were off it, and we went and picked up the car and a bunch of boxes of stuff, and he was great and helped me out, gave me a good deal, and we put that car together. And the 56 I've had since 1983. My dad used to work on a sprint car for Glenn Parsons, and that was the number, and I've had that number ever since.
Cool.
So where is home for you out there? Is it Penticton, or do you live away from the Speedway?
I'm in Kelowna. I've got an acreage off grid a bit, so I'm actually sitting up at the road to get phone reception.
So you're out near Russ Valley. You're out near the Russ Brother guys.
Nope, the other way. I'm up out of town the other way. Joe Rich, it's called, and I have to get in. My dad, if he wasn't still wrenching on the car, the car got torn up at the Rattler something broke in the steering, and I hit the wall hard, and he rebuilt the car. And if he wasn't, he's 79 years old, still wrenching on the car.
Isn't that amazing? This sport is all about the people that you surround yourself with. And Steve, by the sounds of it, you are surrounded by the right guys. What's the plan for 2023 now that you've got the championship, or is it still too fresh?
Well, I just heard about it last week. It was Thanksgiving when it was made official. So already excited about next year. My son's quite a wheel man too, and he does all my setups, my last couple setups in the car. And I think he'll be in the car for the Rattler also.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's real good news. I know we look forward to getting a official word from Trevor Siebert whenever that race is announced. I know there's tons of anticipation, us included, that the Rattler 300 will be a go again in 2023. I believe it will, but we haven't got official word. Did they happen to mention anything at the Speedway about it?
Well, Trevor was supposed to call me this afternoon, and he didn't, so I can't get in trouble. But what I've heard, it's definitely a go, and they were going to maybe move it up a little bit to help the Alberta guys and get some warmer weather.
And there wouldn't be nothing wrong with that, because it was definitely a little bit chilly at Penticton Speedway. But we were blessed with a dry, sunny day. If there was any silver lining, it would have been kind of nice to run that race in the daytime, but it could have sent you guys for fits too, right?
Yeah, although being cool, there was record time set, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Thursday, when Brad Mann and I were standing at Penticton watching the just practice laps going on, there kept being leader changes at the top of the board. The guys would go out, they'd run a few laps, they'd hang around the top 5, and then all of a sudden the next run, they'd go bam, up to the top of the board by 0.2 or 1/10 or whatever. And then you think, oh, well, there's our fast guy. But every 5 minutes, that was changed. And I know you took a spell up there as well at the top of the board, I believe.
Yeah, we're doing good. I bounced the car off the wall once, and I ran over a car who had engine trouble in front of me. I guess I was quite airborne from what I heard, and I thought, man, this car's invincible. And then Hyman broke in the steering shortly after.
Yeah. That can sometimes create a little bit of chaos inside the cockpit of those cars. Sponsorship on that 56. Who was along for the ride this year, bud?
I had Kirchhoff Construction and the Great White North Distilling Company, and Kodiak gave me some money for the last championship weekend. And Michael on my crew bought me some tires, and All Day Automotive helps me out with a bunch of stuff. And we are working on, hopefully I can get in an RS1 car next year for a couple races. I'm working on getting some sponsor money for that.
Ooh, I followed that tour all season long, and I'll tell you what, that's the real deal, that RS1 Cup Series. You'd have a lot of fun in that, baby.
I've been out to their shop a few times and talk to them about it, and hopefully we can work something out. I'd really like to do Saskatchewan. I like the large speedways and the speed, and would really like to make that one.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool, Steve, to see you in that. It'd be cool to see you back in a late model, and hopefully we figure back into the plan for the 2023 edition of the Western Rattler 300. I'll tell you what, that was a staple event. You guys, all of the guys in that race did an amazing job. Felt bad for Mark Barrio going upside down in the last chance qualifier and ruining his day. But and yourself too, bouncing it off the fence and getting it airborne. And that's what they make next year for. And hopefully, Steve-O, you're one of the guys in there and contending for the win.
Yeah, we got some improvements we can do to the car. I had a good shop package on there that Alien Race Cars did up for me, and Daryl Crocker helped me out a lot. And but we could put a lot better package into it. So we're looking forward to doing that.
Well, congratulations on the championship and everything that you had successful-wise this year, and we can't thank you enough for the time.
Yep, thank you so much.
You betcha. Steve Longert. He is the champion driver of the 56 out in British Columbia. Good job. Good job on him. He made it into the big show, and look at that. He championed at the end of the year.
Absolutely, and lots of competition out there. They had a great weekly count at Penticton, and looking forward to seeing. It's the first year, right? The pavement was just barely cured when they rolled on for the first time this year. So it's definitely just getting the wind in the sails, so to speak, and getting after it. So it should be definitely interesting to see what they can build upon for next year, and I can't foresee the Rattler not happening again. Trevor and those guys, with the excitement level that they had from that Rattler race early on in the spring, what a staple event, and definitely cool to see everything come together. I can't wait to hear the official announcement, and I wouldn't doubt that you see some Ontario interest in that race.
Well, if you get out of the box early enough, right?
Last
You got to
year
get out of the box. Last year it was January when
Yeah.
that race was announced, and it was announced for April.
Yeah.
So not a big window for teams, and I know there was, I'm going to say a good 3 or 4 teams that were considering it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just ran up against the clock, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ran up against the clock, and it's definitely a long haul, and it's quite the.
That's
quite
the
show.
one where you take your car, put it into the unit, and get a driver that's got lots of time.
Yeah.
Put him in the hauler, tell him to take his time and drive all the way out to Penticton in BC. And he's going to have a beautiful drive, but I'm telling you, it's a one long drive to get out to BC.
Yep.
But, and then the driver and the team, just jump aboard a plane. And you're in Penticton same day.
Yep.
Same day, and you get out, and I'm telling you what, you will be surprised. That racetrack is very fast.
Yep.
It's a tight track.
Yep.
But there is lots of room to race.
It would be interesting for one of these Pinty's teams that have a hauler that you could fit 3 or 4 cars in.
Oh yeah.
To partner up with
with
a handful of guys, and make the trip out with multiple teams in one box.
Yep.
That would make it a heck of a lot more affordable for everybody. I look at a guy, DJ Kennington's got a beautiful looking late model sitting there with Castrol GTX all over it.
Oh yeah.
He's got a gorgeous late model sitting there that ran well inside the top 5 at Delaware Speedway at the end of the year. So, but a guy like that, who's got a pit box and a hauler, it would be definitely pretty cool to see.
Jason
him
Hathaway,
and, a handful of them.
Jason Hathaway just went silent. I know he's car owner now, and he's busy with the Spindies teams. No doubt.
Yep.
But silent when it comes time for a late model. And that's what Jay was sort of doing. He was doing the Pindies thing.
Yep.
And he had his late model program off to the side. Man, whenever he'd get in it, he'd win it.
Yeah, exactly.
Always great to see.
Yep.
I missed that.
Yep.
I missed that. It'd be cool to see Jason Hathaway jump back in.
Yep.
J.R. Fitzpatrick, if this race is early enough in BC, J.R. Fitzpatrick would be a huge contender out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Donald Chisholm, Nagel,
Yeah.
Cole, Butcher, those 3 guys there from the Pro Stock Tour on Canada's East Coast. Now, you want to talk about long trip.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That would be a mammoth trip to go from the Maritimes to BC. But like I say, it's all possible. Stick cars in a big hauler, get a driver that has time. You're going to pay the guy. You're going to pay the guy, and you're going to pay for fuel, and it's going to cost some bucks to get out there.
Yep.
The race was live on SiriusXM.
Yep.
The race was live on Rev TV Canada.
Yep.
And the race paid big bucks.
Yep.
So that's got all the elements
Yeah, absolutely.
of everything that you're going to want. And I might add, the heavyweights from Saskatchewan, Alberta were there.
Yep.
And they'll be back. So hopefully Trevor is on the show sooner than later to get this out of the box.
Yeah.
And hopefully then teams have got a big enough runway where they can say, hey, I'll see you at the Rattler.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be huge. 300. And they reeled it off, Junior. in 2 hours, 59 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is lock, stock, and barrel. That's
Yep.
the whole thing.
Yep.
That's the driver intro. That's 300 competitive laps. That's a break in the middle.
Yep.
And back to the track and reeled it out. I might add, there was a full field of cars. There was
Yep.
like 27 cars
Yep.
on the track. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was a super race. We're going to hit our final break. When we come back, I'm hoping, I'm going to send this guy a text. Hopefully, we're trying to get Stephen Nasse in the background.
Yeah.
Winner of the Winchester 400 today. Fingers crossed. I'm going to try and get him. If not, we got lots to talk about, I can guarantee you. Stay with us, all live tonight on Racetime Radio, SiriusXM, Channel 167, Canada Talks.
Poor pitiful me, roaming through them trees. Won't you help me out in the North Country? Underneath them pines, in the green plush scenery.
From coast to coast, you're listening to Canada Talks.
Racetime Radio is brought to you by the Quality Inn, Halifax Airport, the official stay of the Racetime Radio broadcast crew. Also by the Wooden Door Bistro.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere, doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Hey, this is JP from Peterborough Speedway. This Thanksgiving weekend, October the 7th to the 9th, we're hosting our annual Autumn Colours Classic, the biggest racing event in Ontario. 3 days of racing action at Peterborough Speedway presented by Lucas Oil in Pure Country.
All right, man, get ready to go.
This year, the Speedway hosts 10 divisions of racing action with the best drivers in the country appearing. Friday, it's first round qualifying for the Bone Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks, Legends, Hot Rods, along with the Young Gun races.
You know you gotta do.
Gates will open at 5 and racing will start at 6. Saturday, October the 8th, it's second round qualifying action with B features, late models and junior late models along with outlaw midgets added to the bill. Sunday, October the 9th wraps it all up with feature events for all divisions, including the late model Electric City 167. Peterborough Speedway in Pure Country bring you to Crown Jewel Racing, the 29th annual Autumn Colours Classic weekend of October the 7th to the 9th. Visit peterboroughspeedway.com to book your tickets in advance.
Good job, driver, good job.
Tonight's Racetime Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, Port Hawkesbury, New Glasgow, and Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
Drivers, start your engines.
Welcome back to the track. Live on Racetime Radio, SiriusXM 167.
And welcome back, everybody, to Racetime Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight. Man, I've had my troubles tonight, I'll tell you. My computer crashed. I lost the top of the hour. Couldn't throw it back to Toronto for that. Lost the recording of tonight's show. Luckily, everything's going just perfect over on our YouTube channel at RaceTimeRadioTV on YouTube. You can check it out. And, of course, things going perfectly at SiriusXM, Channel 167, Canada Talks. That's our number one. Let me tell you that Sue is working on trying to grab Stephen Nasse, but so far we're striking out. Only 15 minutes left in the show. We were going to try and get the winner of the Winchester 400. He's probably still doing media at the Speedway or maybe driving on his way home. Big event for him. Good to hear Stephen Nasse, and we've had him on the show a number of times. And Stephen, always a great guest and always free with his time with us here on Racetime Radio. And we really appreciate it. But congratulations to Stephen Nasse winning that Winchester 400. Didn't go so well for Cole on the pole kind of guy.
No, definitely.
The 53 of Cole Butcher.
Tough run for Cole. and
he's on a plane. He's on a plane coming home. That's why he's not on the show.
Absolutely. So, but a solid Winchester 400. Lots of great names, lots of great cars. looking forward to seeing, what they can put together for the All-American 400 coming up next.
Oh, yeah.
Over at Nashville. Obviously a monster event that's hanging in the wings. It's looking like, when Winchester has a good car count, the All-American 400 is going to, because they have a ton of cars that are in that Nashville, North Carolina corridor. But looking forward to seeing that, and as well, really looking forward to the APC banquet coming up. Gonna be hanging out with the Stoddy crew, and gonna get after it there next weekend.
You guys had a good year.
We did have a good year. It was
best year Stoddy's had.
100%. Yep, and picked up a bunch of big wins. Got the beat the Heat 150. Beat the Heat 100 this year because of the tire shortage. But got the APC win at Sauble. Had a bunch of really close top 5 finishes. Throughout the season, and really, in the grand scheme of things, never tore a body panel off the thing. So
that's important.
It's very important. So a great season for Josh, and I do want to give a quick shout out to Cam K and those guys. They were at Peterborough and they interviewed me, so they were on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.
Oh yeah,
Cam was at Peterborough, and it was a lot of fun to talk to them and catch up with our brethren from the motorsports world.
There you go. There you go. Good deal. When you got home today, because I know you had a long drive, you came in from Eganville.
Yeah.
Did you happen to catch any of the Cup race?
just the tail end.
Just
of it.
the tail end.
Just
you missed the fireworks.
Well, I seen the fireworks. The fireworks, they were lackluster at best.
Well,
but,
Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba lost his brain.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, you don't try and wreck a guy on a half-mile speedway when they're doing like 200 miles an hour, and it wasn't
mile
like
and a half.
Mile and a half. Sorry. But like the 5 car didn't stuff Bubba in the fence.
Hey.
He didn't stuff him. He ran him out of real estate.
Yeah.
But all it would have taken was one little lift, and then both cars would have survived.
But that's what it.
And Bub says, you know me, I don't lift.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I know you. You're the guy that don't finish the race because you don't lift.
Yep.
Now, how many other times I watched the whole race? How many other times do we see the same scenario play out with different drivers? They cut each other a little bit of slack and kept going.
Yep.
And look, the 14 car was one of them.
Yep.
He ended up finishing top 5.
Yeah.
Like it was quite a race.
It's their own prerogative, and if you want to, you can point blame at both of them because the 5 knew that the 23 or the 45 was out there, and he just drove out to the outside wall, and it is what it is. When you look at it, how many times are you going to lift? I know I've been on the 401 before, and when you try to get over to the 427, and you got to go from the slow lane to the fast lane, and you got one exit to do it.
Yeah. You got to cut across 8 lanes.
Yeah, you got to cut across 8 lanes,
and then get in.
And
then get to the outside and go like hell.
There's been plenty of times where I wasn't allowed to get over there, but I didn't drive into the guy that was out there.
No.
So I'm not comparing driving on the 401 to racing at Las Vegas, but a lane's a lane. A lane is a lane, and if you don't have that lane, you're not clear. You're gonna hit something pretty hard.
Kyle was the first to admit I ran him up there. I didn't mean to, but I ran him up there.
It is what it is.
And he went 3 wide. And Harvick, what did Harvick do?
Yeah.
Harvick went, I'm not part of this, and he lifted.
Yep.
And guess who still had a car?
Yep.
The 4 car.
Yep.
Anyway, attention turns to NASCAR now, especially up here in Canada. All of our short track racing is in the books. We will spend lots of time with champions from across Canada. We'll do it again next week. And for those listening to this broadcast, Peterborough Speedway is done. I just forgot to take their commercial out of our sets. So we are excited for the 30th annual that'll come up next year. But Peterborough Speedway is complete. Our attention's got to be to watch, Cup Series. We got to watch Xfinity. Josh Berry won on Saturday. Did you guys watch it wherever you were?
No.
Nope.
No, there was no TV.
No racing.
But
no racing, no TV
no
up there.
racing, no racing.
Woo.
No, it was.
That would have put you in a tough spot. You would have had itchy.
No cell signal either.
Oh.
So there was. I was trying to keep
find
up.
out.
Yeah, no, it was. Wilderness is one thing, but no, there was. When you look at you look at the next 8 weeks in motorsports. There's some phenomenal races coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And
the All-American's still to come.
Yep.
Snowball Derby still to come.
Yep. The Valley Star 300.
Valley Star 300?
At oh, no, that might be done at Martinsville.
Yeah.
I think the Martinsville late model stock race is done. But there's definitely a couple late model stock races left in North Carolina.
Yep.
Big shows. Then as well, you've got the Oktoberfest Halloween Classic coming up.
Mm-hmm. I know JP
got
from Peterborough Speedway, now that he's done his big weekend, he's getting his 24 car ready to go. He's heading for the south.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to check in with JP because he's going to be racing down there,
Yep.
see how he makes out. With Cole Butcher whacking the fence today, I don't think it'll stop him. He said he's going to be at the Derby, the All-American. Donnie will be fixing that car, I would well imagine.
And if they can't fix it, they're building another one.
Yeah.
They got
it's
Hamke race cars. They're fine. They'll
distance. That's what Cole told me. It's one of his cars. It's a distance car down there. No,
it's a Hamke.
Oh, okay.
He runs a distance up here.
Yeah,
His
but
car
I
up
thought
here
he took one of his from here and took
no,
it down there. No. Okay.
No, that one there down there is a Hamke. Now the one that they won at Oxford with, that was his car. That was a distance.
That was a distance car.
I
Yeah.
believe,
I'm
but
pretty sure it was.
The stuff down there is all Hamke stuff. But it's going to be interesting, man. I'm excited to see how many Canadians throw their hat in the ring at Speed Weeks.
Yes, this year could be a big number.
There could be a very big number at Speed Week this year.
Lots of guys talking about it.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And, obviously the exchange rate is not where you want it to be. Inflation's not where you want it to be for making that trip because it used to cost $40, now it costs $70.
For 2 years, you couldn't.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
couldn't. Didn't matter what the cost was.
So
now,
exactly. So
guys have saved up a lot of shekels.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people make the trip down.
And,
I think the dirt scene, you're going to have a tremendous amount of guys over at Volusia and East Bay and the dirt side of Speed Week. I think you're going to see a pile of modifieds. I think you're going to see a bunch of sprint cars make the trip down. But it'll be really interesting to see what we get on the asphalt side.
Next week, we're going to grab Dykstra. I know he championed in SOS. We're going to go after him and get him on the show. That would be a repeat or a defending championship. He did that last year when we got him on. We're going to get him on again this year, as long as he's not tied up racing somewhere, because lots of dirt action down south, and I know these guys love participating in it. But we're going to try and grab him. The Can-Am Midget champion. Corey, I think the guy's name is Corey. I don't want to butcher his last name, but the Can-Am Midget champion, we'll try and grab him for next week on the show. We'll stretch the wings out. Want to find out who the champion was at Saskatoon, and we'll reach out. If you're a champion at a Speedway, and send us an email. It's real easy to do. Joe at Racetime Radio. We want to hear from you. Just send me an email. We'll try and line you up. You can follow us on Facebook, and don't forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, and you can do it that way too. Send us a message. If you're a champion across Canada, even across the U.S., we're on both sides of the border with SiriusXM, so we'd love to hear from you. And these days, this time of the year, that's what we love doing, is spending time with the champions. We did it tonight. We'll do it again next week and probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll also keep our eye on NASCAR. Is Homestead next weekend or still one more week to go?
Yes.
Yes? I think it is, right?
It is next weekend.
Trucks.
Yep.
Trucks will be back on.
Yep.
I had Grant Enfinger on last week. He's got a win to get in.
Yeah.
But he can do it at Homestead.
Absolutely.
He has done quite a bit at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yep.
So
fresh off of a big run at Toledo, man, he just about had it at Toledo. Him and the 44 in the ARCA series. He raced hard with Sammy Smith and
did he?
And
I missed it.
The 20. It was a wild race, and Sammy Smith ended up coming out with the victory. But he just about had it, and
came close.
Just about had it, but was quite the show. That was last week. That was the week before.
The week before.
It was fun to watch. But then there was a big fight with Billy Venturini and Sammy Smith's dad.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was
really?
It was quite the show.
Billy got into it.
Yep, Billy Jr.
Oops.
Yep. But
somebody fired Billy up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's. I tell you what, there's lots of cool stuff to talk about. I know we were very opinionated tonight on the divisions. We're as the season progresses.
Disagree. Let me know.
Yeah,
let me know. We
fine
got
with
an open air for everybody here on
absolutely.
Racetime Radio.
Yep.
You got an opinion? Don't hesitate to let us know that you've got an opinion to share on Racetime. We will definitely make room for you and get you on here. You know what my thoughts are. I definitely put them out there tonight, and I mean them. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. It just doesn't happen.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be quite a week. It's going to be quite a week. I can feel it.
Yep.
I can feel it. And like you said off the beginning, you get that little pit in your stomach at this time of the year. I got that pit.
Yeah.
I got that pit. Felt kind of lost, actually, today.
Yeah.
Like you weren't home yet.
Yeah.
And I was wandering around here this morning going, oh, man, there's got to be something I should be doing that I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
I know what it was now.
What's that?
Forgot to lift the Peterborough Speedway spots out of our commercial set. So there was something I was supposed to be doing, but I felt disoriented all day. All day. But what it is, it's the weather, the big weather change.
Absolutely.
And everything, coming to an end.
Yep.
And then, I sat down and watched the Cup race, which I thoroughly enjoyed today.
Yep.
Watching that Cup race, it just makes you go, oh, man, I wish I was down there.
Yeah.
I should be in Vegas right now watching this.
Yep.
And, they've still got, 3 races left, 4 races left? Three.
I don't know.
3. Joey Logano won today. And he won his way in.
Yep.
He will be in the Final 4. So there's 3 left.
3 left.
Guaranteed 3 left.
Yep.
But pretty cool for Joey Logano. I didn't think he was going to get the win today.
No.
He came in, did a couple of pit stops. They had trouble with the left rear on one pit stop. He come back out 9th.
Yep.
And I thought, track position's huge at this track. Joey Logano picked them off.
Yep.
And then when he got right up to Chastain at the end, I thought, Roscoe's going to wreck him. Roscoe will not let that 22 Pennzoil car by. I didn't think.
Yep.
But, either Joey made the move and Ross didn't have a choice anymore, or Ross just said, hey, second's better than last.
Yeah.
So, because, it would have cost him huge.
For sure.
But good racing. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it'll be, I think I haven't spent. I spotted for 60 feature events this year.
Is that what it was? 60?
Yeah, I didn't spend a whole lot of time watching Cup through the middle portion of the year.
Yeah,
it seemed like I was just getting home from a race weekend each time. But
just
it will be
the tail end.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to watch the final 3. It will be awesome to catch the all the action from the Snowball Derby and all that great stuff coming down the pipe. And it is the off season, so you're allowed to put a little bit of winter weight back on.
Yes, and contact us, be part of the show. That's the reason why we do this each and every week. But that's going to do it for us tonight in the Racetime Radio studio. Got to thank Susie Q. She's over that way, putting everything together. Got to thank all of our guys in Toronto for getting us all hooked up. And obviously got to thank you and our guests for tuning in to Racetime Radio. For not you, we would not do this show. So we really do appreciate it. But for Joe Jr., I'm Joe Sr. I hate saying that, but that's who I am. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Have a safe week, everybody, and we'll catch you back here Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, all live on SiriusXM, Channel 167, Canada Talks.
Thanks for listening to Racetime Radio. Visit us on the web at www.racetimeradio.com. We hope you'll join us again next time for more Racetime Radio.
Come on now, dig.
Exclusively on your home for the hardcore race fan.
Excellent, buddy.